Alright, so what we're going to be doing in this video is continuing the progress on our knife setup. So I went ahead and also kind of adjusted the animations a little bit. So in the description, you'll have a download to a compressed file, just extract it, and you'll have two animations. Simply go to wherever they are. In my case, they're in my character FPS animations knife. Drag and drop, I've already done that, and replace them. And then when you go over to your animation montage for the knife, you might have to delete each segment and drag and drop them back in because I noticed mine didn't update to to the new ones. Essentially, they're still using the old knife animations, even though they were overwritten. So, anyways, once that's done, let's go ahead and change some things. Now, for starters, the reason even at let me go back to how it was actually. The reason that the knife animation was playing not on the clients or not on other clients such as the server, for example, when a client went to knife was because of how we were spawning and setting up the knife. So what we're doing is when we spawn the knife, we were spawning one copy on the server and one on the client. Well, we were using the one that was on the client, I believe. So whenever we go to knife, while we did have authority, over that mesh, we can't actually make RPC calls on it. So when we called server knife attack, it never actually made that call. Like it never completed. So we're gonna have to change some things up. So for starters, what we're gonna do is if has authority, we're gonna wrap that around our knife spawning and setup. We want to replicate knife. So I want to uncomment this guy here. Let's change it to do rep lifetime and remove that condition. Place our the replicated variable to knife. Now we just need to set knife to replicate. So property replicated, like so. So that's pretty much done. Now what we can do is let's go ahead and compile and just confirm that it is, working. So we do figure out that it is working, we will go ahead and kind of change how we are sort of showing and hiding the knife. So previously we were hiding and unhiding it. I want to go a different route and control it via the animation. So the animation is going to be what shows and hides the knife for the first person. Third person, we're going to do a little bit of a different route with it, and I'll show you what I mean here. Get to that part, but obviously I need third person animations to work with. So those will be later. Ready? Let's check. We have the knife animation playing. So that is working as intended. Now we just need to change the system of how it actually works. By starting on begin play, we are initially hiding it. Well, what I want to do, I think I'll probably end up leaving it hidden still, but I want to change this up to not go based off of our C++ code that shows and hides it. Instead, I want notifiers in our animation to control this. So what I'm going to do, I want to make a public, I don't really need to make it, I'll make it public. We're going to do force inline. Let's do or declare it static or use static mesh component. Let's call it get knife mesh. Going to return knife mesh. So to be blueprint callable. So we can compile. I'm going to actually remove the unhiding of the knife as well as the hiding. I want to change up where it actually attaches to. So let's go to our first person character. Okay, FPS, arms, skeleton. My brain kind of shut off there for a minute. I want to have a dedicated socket. So I want to have one on the third person and the first person that are going to match up. So let's just think about attach this to. Honestly, for us, we could just attach it to the root because it's just arms. Really, anywhere we wanted. That's probably just going to be the best bet. So I'm just going to do the IK hand root. Right click, add socket, call it S underscore knife. Let's see what do we call it. I guess knife holster. That'll work for an example. I copy that name, go to our Nazi zombie character, attached to that holster or that socket. Okay, at least it'll be there on the server anyways. Now let's move it around a little bit. I want to move it behind, down from the character's view. So I'm gonna go ahead and save. I guess we can ultimately compile since we're not going to be controlling. We don't need to set up any sort of on rep for the knife because we are going to be controlling it through the actual animation blueprint as to when it gets kind of how it attaches and all that kind of stuff. Show you here in a second. After this compile, I should actually be able to show you, I think. Can't think of anything else that we'd have to do at the moment. Right. Once this is done, we're going to launch up our animation blueprint as well as the animation montage itself. So, animation blueprint. And the animation montage for the knife. What I'm going to do is about yes, here we're going to add a notify. So we're going to come down to this where this one is. We're going to right click, add notify, new notify. And I want to call it knife anim start, like so. And that's going to be positioned about where this line is there. I'm going to head to our animation blueprint. I'm going to right click, search for a knife start, and we have this event. So for example, I want to print a string, knife animation started. Create another one. If I call it knife anim end, I'll put that pretty much just at the end, honestly. Same thing, anim end. Copy that print string, attach it, and we'll call it ended. So we're just gonna do with the I want a knife, started, ended, started, ended. So as you can see, they get triggered. So now what we're going to do is on the knife start, we're going to get the mesh and unhide it. So one thing we want to do, I got our character, do a valid check, wrong check. I don't have anything to actually get the knife, do I? So in that case, I need to make a getter function in our character. Do down here, I'm going to do function callable. return our knife essentially. So it's going to be force inline class a knife get knife. Going to return knife, just like so. Which means I got to restart the editor one more time. And once we have access to the knife, we can do pretty much everything else that I had mentioned. So we're going to hide and unhide the knife based on the starting and the ending of the animation, because that's running on the clients. Well, the animation itself should be running on the clients. It's not gonna, we don't really need to put any extra code in there to do anything fancy with it. Or just to really, I guess, overcomplicate it. Right, let's open the assets. Back here, get knife. Again, we're gonna do a valid check. It's valid. Get knife mesh. We're going to, what is it? Set hidden in game to, it's the start. Set hidden in game to false. Copy this whole thing, do it one more time. Let's set it to true. File and save, and let's just see what happens. Right, so I'm not seeing anything in there. String, confirm that it makes it to the end, which it does. Curiosity, make sure I don't have that backwards in my head. Still hiding it. Okay. String, hiding knife. Unhiding knife. Oh, I just realized what I was doing. So the knife's there in our back. I forgot to attach it to our hand. What we're going to do is get the knife, make sure it's valid. There, we're going to attach to component. Let me drag this down a bit. The parent is going to be our character. Wait, what do I have linked up? Oh, duh. We want to get mesh. That's going to return our third person mesh. We want our first person mesh. So let's go back to our character base header where we have it. We have get mesh 1p. Right here. So we're going to make that blueprint callable. So, and compile. So that way we can get access to it, attach it to the parent, and continue. So we want to attach it to our knife socket on our hand. That's what we're going to put in the socket name. Snap to target for all three of these. Compile and save. Down the editor. Ready? Let's relaunch it up. reopen those two assets. Right, so now we can get mesh 1P. So we have our first person mesh. And again, we're gonna have to do some checks here to make sure if we're the local player or not. I want to do is locally controlled branch. And I'm going to clean this up a little bit. Drag you out. Forwards. Check if we're locally controlled. Not sure why I moved it down there. We are. Attach it to the component. Pass in our mesh 1P to the attaching. So what we're doing a check. So if it's, our knife and everything's valid, we're good to go. We check if we ourselves, our character is locally controlled, meaning we're the one that's doing the knifing. If we are, we attach the knife to our socket here on our first person mesh. If we are not, we want to do it to our third person mesh. But for now, I'm just going to connect both the true and false into the attached to component. So now let's check. See, there's our knife and it's hiding and unhiding it essentially. Now what we want to do, go ahead and get rid of the print string. I'm just gonna flat out get rid of everything from there, copy and paste, and just bring it down. And just check new hidden to true. What I break, connect get knife to character, and then save. So right now the knife is visible, it's on our back, we knife, it's visible, and then at the end it should hide it, which it does. So the only thing we want to do now, doesn't really matter all that much because this is for the first person. Now that I'm thinking about it, this is the first person animation blueprint. Only we are going to have that. So we do not even need this locally controlled check. I don't know why I didn't think about that initially. That means we can just remove that and clean it up just a little bit. Like so. So we now have the hiding and the unhiding of the knife, and it should be visible through other clients. By window, I meant to do that with two. See, there's the knife. It appears just for the animation. Same thing for both clients. So, as far as I can think, we're pretty much good to go in that aspect. So we now have our knife animation being replicated thanks to the animation. So that way visually it's all good to go, but let's see, let's go to knife.cpp, but where the actual like damage and all that stuff's going to be occurring, we're going to be pretty much having an on overlap event on the knife itself once a certain point starts. So these, at least this is my thought for now, we're going to have a notify. So once the knife starts, so like right here or so, we're going to enable the on overlap event. And then once we're back about here, we're going to disable it. So it's pretty much just going to toggle it both on and off, just like our knife hiding and unhiding will. So now that we have those two, we can actually duplicate them. So copy and paste, I think. Or maybe I have to re-add it again. Ah, there it is. So we have knife anim start, set in, and knife anim end. So we're going to go to add notify, skeleton notify, add them in. And this is going to be for the second animation. About just pretty much at the end, I want it to fire. Somewhere, I guess, about here, I want this one to fire for the second one. So the only thing I kind of want to change would be the blend time, now that the animation is a little bit different. Knife's just kind of like right there. Way it's like it's not starting at the full animation, where the hand's way down here. So let's lower this to like point. See the knife in there, so I want to move this knife anim start out just a little bit. Just see. So the knife's hidden until we pretty much perform the attack. And I'm happy with that. So that's where I'm going to leave it for now. As you can tell, everything's just, it works. So that's the main thing. Now what we can do is we can focus on creating a collision mesh on the actual knife itself and setting up an overlap event so the zombies can actually take damage. So now this is all out of the way, I will see you in the next one.